Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football RPG. I'm Mike. That's David. And today we are talking about Audric Estime, the running back for the Denver Broncos, what to do with him in Dynasty, what the latest coach speak means, and what the addition of RJ Harvey means for his long-term outlook. I know Sean Payton, everyone wants the good running backs there. We want to compare him to the Mark Ingram and the Alvin Kamara days of old. We want to compare him to Reggie Bush. We want to compare him to all these cool, fun running backs. But let's talk about what this day 3 guy can do for our fantasy teams. So real quick, David, he's still a wee lad. He's still like 19, 14 years old. Is that right?
22, but still 21. He'll be 22 at the start of the regular season. But yeah, very young, a lot of future ahead of him. He probably declared a year earlier than he should have because 21, I'd imagine he was a junior. He could have come out in a different class. But, as a rookie, he showed a little bit of something. Never quite won the starting job, but 310 carries, 310 yards, 2 touchdowns on 76 attempts. Added 5 receptions for 27 yards as a rookie. He finished with a 62.3 PFF grade. He didn't have enough snaps to qualify by their standings, but if he did, that would have made him RB 48. Same neighborhood as guys like Jalen Warren, Isaiah Pacheco, Devin Singletary, Breece Hall, strangely enough, and Javonte Williams.
Weird year for Breece Hall. There's a video up right now. Evan talks all about Breece Hall and what to do with him. But what Sean Payton said, one, is that the grade on Audric Estime should be considered incomplete because he didn't get enough snaps. He's the kind of guy, he said, he needs to get the ball rolling and get into a rhythm, and that he wants Estime to be a larger part of this offense for 2025. Looking at Sean Payton's split carry history, so he's coached for 17 years or longer than that, but over that time, only 5 players have had more than 200 carries. What does that mean to you from what this offense is going to look like and how they plan to incorporate him now that Javonte is gone?
So now that Javonte is gone, if you go back to what Payton did with the Saints, it was usually a 2-headed attack at running back. Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, obviously the biggest ones, but if you keep going back, like Reggie Bush you mentioned earlier, he never got that real full workload. Ironically, he got more carries when he was a Dolphin and a Lion than he ever did as a Saint. Chris Ivory was there splitting work with him. I think those guys overlapped. Basically, Payton likes to have a 1-2 punch. In New Orleans, he was able to get both guys to fantasy relevance. Now, the question we have to ask now is that because Drew Brees was so good, the offense was so unstoppable, or is there something magic about the way Sean Payton coaches a defense, or an offense, excuse me? Last year wasn't too much to write home about, largely because Javonte Williams was the best back, and Javonte Williams just isn't good at football anymore. It's sad, it's unfortunate. RJ Harvey's there now. They clearly believe in him. I think he's still going to be the running back 1, but anyone that's drafting him like 109 in rookie startup drafts, even before Payton's comments, I think that was a bit of an overreaction. But now that it sounds like Payton is looking for someone to take the load off Harvey, it's not going to be a big workload. I'd be expecting to really be out on Harvey at his current cost.
Yeah. What I want to bring home to our listeners is that if you want to be negative about Harvey, let's channel that negativity into positivity for Audric. If Harvey doesn't work out, it means that somebody else is getting carries. If you're going to plant your flag there, we've seen what Julian McLaughlin is. His skill set overlaps more with Harvey. If Payton really wants to run a 1-2 punch, it seems like it's going to be Estime a lot of early down work. If you play in a points per first down league, which I know some of us psychos do that, maybe Estime is going to get some of that work rather than Harvey, who they're going to look to make the explosive play targets in PPR leagues. That's probably more valuable. I think there's a world where Estime might not be, life-changing, the best guy in the world, but you can use him as an emergency RB2 in a position that is pretty desolate right now. How do you feel about that?
I think that's a good take on it. Estime is probably going to be one of those guys that he's going to be much better in real life football than fantasy. He's just going to take enough of the work. You're never going to feel great about starting him. You can, in a pinch, hope he finds the end zone, but he's probably just going to be one of those guys that's there to prevent, from a fantasy standpoint, there to prevent someone else from being a fantasy superstar.
Yeah. It's going to be tough to figure out how this split's going to look, but ideally, Estime, you said he had how many carries last year? Like
76.
70. Let's give him 180 carries, close to the same efficiency. I think he ended up in the doghouse a little early last year because I think his first NFL touch, if I remember correctly, he tried to hurdle somebody and fumbled while he was in the air. So
that sounds right. He has 2 fumbles last year. That could have been one of them.
So let's try to clean up some of those fumbles, and maybe he'll get an increased workload. Let's talk about his price in the dynasty streets right now. For somebody who's still 21 years old in what we consider a fairly good offense, say what you will about Bo Nix, but it is above average right now. He's going as the RB 69, nice, and 209 overall. That means that we are picking 2 starting running backs from every other team before you are taking Audric Estimé. Would you buy into Estimé? You're on the clock, 303 in your rookie draft. Would you rather have Estimé or a third?
I'd probably take Estimé there just because, like you said, Mike, it's a really good offense, or not really good, but it's going to be above average. Sean Payton likes to involve his running backs when he has guys he believes in. And frankly, it's a wide open backfield. I know everyone's assuming Harvey will get the starting job. Frankly, I expect that to happen too. But at the end of the day, Harvey hasn't played a snap in the NFL. We don't know how good he's going to be. There's a lot of metrics that say the Broncos reached with that 2nd round pick. So there's a chance Estimé gets this job. I don't think it's particularly likely, but that outcome's out there. Also, if there's an injury, he's very clearly the starting running back. For a third, I'll take that every single day of the week.
You can get a handcuff and a good offense for a third. And I'll say this about the Harvey reach. I forget who said it, so forgive me if you're listening. If you take all of the running backs that you go on mock draft database and then you figure out where they were actually drafted, if they go more than 30 picks where they were projected to go higher, the hit rate is abysmal. It is terrible. Like when teams reach, we can be like, oh, well, we don't know anything. The NFL should know better. When they reach by that much, it's a pretty rough track record. So if Harvey busts, someone's going to get carries here. Running back isn't the kind of position where it's like, oh, you bet on talent all of the time. Sometimes purely opportunity, especially at a 3rd round price, is worth it to me.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that. Running back production, especially, so much of it is based on the scheme you're in, the offensive line in front of you. Denver has good qualities for both. Bo Nix, pretty high check down guy, so Estimé isn't really a pass catcher, but when he's out on the field, a few targets could go his way. For what it's worth, he caught every single target last year, a whopping 5 of them, but that's better than that.
We'll take 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Audric Estimé he's a value in fantasy football right now. Maybe after this coach speak, it's going to be a little harder to acquire him. How would you feel about a late second, like once you're in that Milroe Arroyo range?
I'd probably, that's probably right where I'd draw the line. Assuming it's super flex, I'd probably like Milroe just because I am not a Sam Darnold believer. I think he's going to crash and burn, and I think there's a pretty decent shot Milroe earns an opportunity near the end of the year when Seattle's out of the playoffs. I personally don't think he's a starting caliber quarterback, but his skill set, if it does work out, you're getting an absolute steal. So just for the upside alone, I think I'd prefer him.
Completely fair. But if you guys are out buying Audric Estimé right now, tell us in the comments, what did you pay? How do you feel about it? If you're selling him, tell us what you would sell him for, what you're hoping to get in your dynasty streets right now. As always, I'm Mike. That's David. Thank you for listening. And Evan, I love you. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to check out written content, head over to lastwordonsports.com.
Don't let the goblins get you.